Okay, welcome back to lesson 2 of Tracy Kenpo Karate Orange Belt. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about blocking the kick, A through E, as well as Japanese stranglehold, A through E. Don't let those variations daunt you about the technique. It's very simple, so it'll be easy for you to learn. Okay, let's get about in and get started. Okay, let's first kind of review. We learned in lesson 1 our time zones that we teach through the technique attacking circle, with A being 12, or not A, but with starting off with 12 o'clock with a chop to the neck and chop to the groin. Then we slide in, slide out, 2, 3. We do another chop, slide in and slide out with our left, chop the neck, chop the groin, slide in and slide out to 9 o'clock. And then we're going to come back in and do our 2:30s, 4:30, 7:30, and 10:30. Okay, that's all there is to attacking the circle, as you learned in your first lesson. It's mainly there just to show you and teach you the time zones that you should have already been introduced to you in yellow belt as you were learning each technique. Now from there, we're going to look at sumo. Now sumo is a two-hand grab low. So we're going to come out, elbows followed by forearm strikes. This way, if your elbows miss or don't hit right on, your forearms can do the work and clear the arms at the same time. We're going to do this one move of stepping out, bounce in and out, double spear hand to the throat, grab your opponent, soft bow with your left, forearm smash, but continue that motion into a uppercut into the jaw, rolling over into a rollover hammer fist, reversing your soft bow to a right side soft bow, right hammer fist to the groin, draw to cat, line up with your opponent, back kick, and a very short cross out, but maintaining the distance that you can still pull the trigger if you need to continue on with your defense. So that leaves us to blocking the kick and Japanese stranglehold. So let's start with blocking the kick. Blocking the kick is basically what it says. It is for a right front snap kick. Now, front snap kicks are really hard to block, especially when you're trying to use a downward block, or any block for that matter, because it's a very fast kick. So the real key to making this technique work is getting out of the point of contact. Also with this technique at this level, we're assuming the guy's not going to be throwing a punch followed by the kick. He's so focused on throwing that kick that he didn't even think about throwing a punch. But we know in the real world that probably won't happen. So as you're practicing this, keep in mind that there is most likely a punch coming from either the left or the right. So as they throw the kick, we're going to step back slightly into about the 5:30, not quite 6, because we don't want to stay straight in line with the kick. We want to offset it just a bit. And as we do so, we're going to throw a big round downward block. There again, as we taught you in your basics, we don't strike down. Okay, a lot of systems strike straight down. I don't teach that. I go a big circle. This way I don't have to worry about left, right. I can also use it for clearing as well as for punches. We mainly don't even really use this technique. I usually teach students to heel palm and claw rather than the downward block. More of a scooping action. Same motion, just a different application. But Tracy does teach this as a downward block. But you may see some of our students do more of a scoop with this motion than a block. So as you step out, and you go to block that kick, the concept is you've thrown the kick, their body's wide open, and A is a reverse punch to the face with your left hand in check and back to stance. That's all there is to it. So we just step back, big circle block, reverse punch into hard bow, and back to stance. Okay, B and C, basically we're going to go right down the center line of the body. We're going to repeat what we just did with the A version, but this time we're going to go to the solar plexus, and then back to stance. Okay, C version, same thing, but we're going to go to the groin, and back to stance. So basically you got A to the face, B to the solar plexus, and C to the groin. So why are they doing this? It's to show you that no matter what, you can throw a punch to any of those targets. Okay, it just lets the student learn that no matter what, you've got the center line to work with on any strike. That's all they're trying to do at that point. So let's once again cover A through C. Step back to about the 530 position. Downward block, showing a big circle. Hand is in chamber. Feet are in a fairly good fighting stance. Reverse punch. As you throw your hand into check, A is to the face. Okay, again. Downward, A to the face. Back to your stance. B, same thing. Downward, solar plexus, left hand in check, hard bow, back to your stance. Don't stand there. And C, repeat, but this time we target the groin. So A, head, B, solar plexus, C, groin. That brings us to D. D is a what if. Well, what if you block but you realize you're not in range of the kick? Because most people's front kicks or legs are longer than their arms. So if they don't come forward far enough, you're not going to get that punch in there. So the theory is as you go to block, you realize you don't have the range that you need to throw the punch, so you throw a front snap kick instead. So you just block, kick. Also with this technique, when you're doing the block, they're assuming as you throw that kick, you're going to almost straddle them. So they're in a very wide stance, which is going to make them off balance and open. That's why we prefer the scoop kick, because it allows you to really kind of throw that leg off to the side to get that result that you're looking for. So let's repeat those four again. A, downward, reverse punch, the face, right to right to 530, left hand in check. Again, downward block, right to 530, right hand in chamber. B, we go to the solar plexus. Alright, and then C, downward, groin, and back to your stance. And then the D, one of the what ifs, we block, front snap kick to the groin or body depending on what's available. That brings us to the fifth and final variation of this technique. And this is another what if. What if you go to block and you realize they've thrown a left and not a right? Okay. Basic theme throughout most of Yellow Belt is the B version, or one of the versions always covers what if they throw this instead of that. So in this case, as they do it, we're going to do our downward block, or if you do it my way, your heel palm scoop block, and you're going to realize that it's a left kick, which means instead of throwing them and landing this way, your opponent's going to be more this way. So they're going to be more sideways to you and not quite to their back. So your targeting is going to be limited. So when they do the technique, Tracy teaches a front thrust kick. Okay, we don't really teach that. We would prefer to go right after the leg, because you've got this leg you just swung out and you got all that weight, or most of the weight, on that supporting leg that's been turning. So when we do the technique, we do our block, but then we do a side thrust kick to the back supporting leg. Okay, so if you, depending on your instructor and how they want you to do it, you're either going to do E as a downward block, front thrust kick to the body, or if they will allow it, or you're training through me and my teaching, I'll take either way, but I teach downward block, side thrust kick to the supporting leg. If you caught following my videos through any of this, you realize we always have a little twist to the way we do Tracy's. We're not so dogmatic that we do it exactly as it was taught. We have added our own little twist to it, things that we prefer to do. But I like to point them out, especially with these videos, so if your instructor doesn't approve, you can do it their way. So again, blocking the kick A, left downward block, right to 530, right hand in chamber, throw a right reverse punch to the face, left hand in check. B version, repeat the first part of A, but now throw a reverse punch to the solar plexus. Then back to your stance. The C, There again, repeat A, but this time we are going to throw a reverse punch to the groin and back to stance. D variation. First of the what ifs. What if you go to throw a punch or you realize that your punch is not long enough, or you're not within the critical distance line enough to throw the punch? You've done everything you're supposed to, but at this point you know the punch won't work. You throw a front snap kick to the groin or body, depending on what you can come in contact with. And then we got E, this last what if. What if they throw a left instead of a right? Well, you've already done your block, so you can't stop and change them. You can't say, do that again so I can do this better. You have to take what you get. And if you misread it and you got a left, Tracy teaches front thrust kick to the hip side area. I would rather do a little more damage than that. So I teach stepping back, side thrust kick to the supporting leg. If you can't reach it, then the leg you just put down, attacking the side. Okay, and that's blocking the kick A through E. Now the next technique is not attacking the circle, is Japanese stranglehold, A through E. Just like blocking the kick, these are very simple techniques that lead up to a final variation. So, with Japanese stranglehold, we're assuming you got a mugger's grip. Someone's come up from behind and grabbed you with their right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn our neck, and just turn it just enough so that you can use their elbow as a pocket, and that'll relieve some of the pressure. Now at the same time, you have an option here. You can either check the arm or you can strike the eyes. Okay, so if you want to strike the eyes, you would just strike them as you do the technique. So let's take, for example, the first one. It's a reverse elbow or a rear elbow to the solar plexus from behind. So if you want to do it one way, which is check, step out, and drive. Okay, you want to get to where this is one move. As soon as this foot plants, you're hitting with your elbow. You don't want a 1-2 because they're going to readjust on you. They're going to see that you're trying to counter them, and they're going to counter that. So you want to make this as one move, keeping an eye on your opponent. Then you have the variation is, as you do this, instead of checking, you strike the eyes. Now you might see a lot of students do this in other Kenpo systems. Elbow, strike. This is an option. It just depends on how you feel about that arm. Personally, I would prefer to keep the arm in check so that I know where it's at. Because as I do this, that arm's going to go doing something. It may make the grip tighter, it may fling off. But if my hand's already there, I'm all ready to deal with it. And I can go into a lock or some other type of defense if needed. So, the A version as standardly taught, turn the neck, step out left into a horse stance. At the exact same time you do those two, you want to do a right reverse punch or elbow into the solar plexus of your opponent as you check the arm. Okay? Now, also by dropping your weight, this opens your opponents up. By stepping out, you're going to have this whole center line to work with. Also, by dropping your weight, it's going to cause them to shift their weight to adjust to you going down and lowering your center of gravity. So almost every time you're grabbed from behind, at this particular moment I can't think of an exception, you will always step out and open up their center line for some type of a defensive maneuver. And in this case, we're going to check the hand, strike the solar plexus as hard as we can. This we're going to assume is they're going to loosen the grip and most likely back up on you so that you can continue on with your defense, or if at all possible, just run away and get out of the situation altogether. So we have the A. Okay, everything starts from here. B, strike down. Hammer fist the groin. C, we're going to combine the two together. Elbow, hammer fist. Okay, so let's go through those three again. A, check, elbow. B, check, hammer fist. C, combine A and B, elbow, hammer fist. D, we're going to add one more move to that. Elbow, hammer fist, grab the groin and drive it straight back and up. And then our students like to go, do you want these back? So again, D, elbow, hammer fist, heel palm, grab the groin, drive straight up as you hang on, driving that chin up because you grab that guy in the groin. He's going to double over, and that'll bring that chin right into play. And then you can ask him if he wants his jewels back. So we have Japanese stranglehold A, elbow to the solar plexus. B, hammer fist. C, combine the two. D, add one more move. Elbow, hammer fist, grab or heel palm grab. Drive straight up into the chin with your elbow. E, E's a what if. What if they grab your arm? Okay, you were going to step out, you're going to turn your chin, but now you can't strike because he's no longer here, he's over here. So what do you do when they grab your primary arm as they grab you in a mugger's choke? Simple. You step out in the opposite direction and repeat said technique. In this case, all we're going to do is repeat the D version, which is elbow, hammer fist, grab, heel palm, drive straight up. So basically E is just in the opposite direction of D. So Japanese stranglehold A, turn the chin, open up the airway, check the hands, elbow the solar plexus. At any one of these variations you can add an eye strike. And what you might want to try to do is practice eye strike and then stepping out and checking and see how that works for you. I find that they end up adjusting before I have a chance to really continue on. But you practice it any way that makes you feel comfortable and work for you. So A again, turn, check, drive that elbow as hard as you can into their solar plexus. B, same thing, turn, check, hammer fist that groin. C, combine A and B, elbow, hammer fist. D, we're going to add one strike to the C. So we got elbow, hammer fist, now we're going to heel palm, grab, drop straight up as they double over, driving that elbow right into their chin. Okay, so that's all that, and then we got E. What if they grab your right hand at the same time they grab your throat? Okay, you still turn your chin, we're just going to step out right, elbow, hammer fist, grab, and rip as hard as we can, straight up, driving that elbow into the chin. So, you've learned blocking the kick and Japanese stranglehold. I know those variations can kind of scare you off a bit, but they're really simple, then they just build one upon the other. So let me recap all of these one more time for you. So we got, starting with blocking the kick, I'll do it from different angles. Blocking the kick A, step back, reverse punch to the face. B, step back to 530, downward block, reverse punch to the solar plexus. C, downward block, step back to 530, reverse punch to the groin. D, downward block, front snap kick because you're out of the critical distance line of your punch. And E, downward block on any, also at any time. There again, if you're testing through me, feel free to use the heel palm scoop for these techniques. In which case, E is they threw a left instead of a right. So I teach a side thrust kick, but depending on your instructor, they may want you to do a front thrust kick to the thigh or rib cage area. So from this angle, A, 1, 2, punch the face. B, downward block, punch the solar plexus. C, downward block, punch the groin. D, downward block, you're out of the critical distance line of the punch. Front snap kick, so you're just going to snap it right out. And E, downward block, depending on who your instructor is, it's either a front thrust kick to the body, or if you're my student, a side thrust kick to the knee. Okay, this angle. A, 1, punch the face. B, Downward block, hand in chamber, fighting stance, reverse punch to the solar plexus. C, repeat, downward block to the groin. D, there again, you throw your block out of the critical distance line of the punch. So if you throw it, you're not going to get the penetration or the targeting you want. So you throw a front snap kick. Place it back to where it was so you can continue on with the technique if you need to. Last variation, downward block, they throw a left, depending on your instructor. Traditional Tracy's, front thrust kick to the body. If you're my student, downward block, side thrust kick to the supporting leg and down. Then we have Japanese stranglehold. I'll always show this from this direction. With A, turn the head, step out left, check, elbow the solar plexus. You can throw an eye strike in at any time if you want to try striking at the exact same time. B, hammer fist and check. C, combine them together, elbow, hammer fist. D, we add one more move to that one, elbow, hammer fist, heel palm, grab, drive straight up that chin, right up the contour of the chest, kind of in their blind spot, and just follow that straight up under their chin and drive it up as high as you can go. And then the E version, what if they grab your arm, why they grab your throat. Very simple, step out and into the arm as we turn the head, elbow, hammer fist, grab and drive. Same as the D version, just in the opposite direction. Practice those. If any time you have any questions, feel free to send me a comment or use our chat application we have available for you to ask or answer your questions. To ask your questions so that I can answer them. I wish you all the best of luck, and I hope to see you in lesson 4 of Orange Belt.